right, welcome everyone. I'm going to call the August 26, 2019 Royal Oak City Commission meeting to order. First off, Commissioner Perush will not be joining us this evening. She's taking some well-earned vacation time. Before we begin tonight, I'd like to say a few words. On behalf of the City of Royal Oak, we appreciate each and every one of you attending tonight's meeting. A couple of weeks ago, we had an unfortunate incident take place outside the In-Season Cafe. Regrettably, we did not live up to our own professional standards. Our police department took immediate action. We acknowledged our mistake, owned it, apologized for it, and began a process to better understand what happened and why. This incident has not and will not be swept under the rug. Shortly, the police chief will give us an update of what happened, what we have done, and what is next. Too often, we want to talk at each other instead of with each other. I'm grateful for those who reached out to us with their questions and concerns, for those who made time for me to discuss the matter face to face, or in some cases, ear to ear. Chief?
Mayor, City Commission, when I was made aware of the incident that occurred on August 13th in front of In-Seasons Cafe, I initiated an internal investigation. We were able to quickly determine what happened. I immediately released the 911 call and both the officers' in-car video. I met with Mr. Myers along with his attorney and his mother, and I also issued a press release summarizing my findings and outlining the corrective action that I took. All of that is available on our website. This incident prompted a deeper dive into the officers involved. With the primary officer, we found past behavior that was inconsistent with his training and the standards and expectations of the Royal Oak Police Department. Last Friday, I personally reviewed his conduct with him, and when faced with the consequences of his actions, the officer resigned effective immediately. We have an agency that is dedicated to continuous improvement, and this resignation does not end our internal review. If changes need to be made with our training or oversight, we will make them. I do need to point out that this does appear to be an anomaly. We have very good and dedicated police officers. I think we have one of the best police departments in the state. Most of the time, our officers go above and beyond what is required. With that said, they are human, and no organization is perfect.
Thank you, Chief O'Donoghue. Well, this incident doesn't reflect who we are as Royal Oak. We are a loving, welcoming, gracious city. But I do hope that the response we take to this does reflect who we are and who our values are. We're going to begin with an invocation given by Mayor Pro Tem Douglas, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you can.
Real estate developers love Bradford pear trees. They mature quickly and bloom prettily in early spring, but they are not resilient or long-lasting. They never grow tall enough to provide effective shade. As we plan for Royal Oak's future, let us avoid the pitfalls of immediate gratification and think beyond our generation to our children and their children. We should literally and figuratively plant oak trees. Our landscaping and our policies should have deep roots and strong trunks. They should shelter our families, clean the air and water, and beautify our neighborhoods. But oak trees grow slowly, so we must heed the Greek proverb which says, "A society grows great when old men plant trees whose shade they know they shall never sit in." Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have a few proclamations we're going to give this evening. Mr. McEwen? So our first proclamation is designating September as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. This is a proclamation designating September 2019 Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas Tie Michigan Teal is a statewide campaign designed to promote awareness of ovarian cancer and its symptoms. And whereas teal is a color representing ovarian cancer. And whereas ovarian cancer is the deadliest of all gynecological cancers and one of the 5 leading cancer-related deaths among women in the United States. And whereas each year approximately 22,000 women are diagnosed with the disease and 15,000 women will die. And whereas women diagnosed with ovarian cancer have an average 5-year survival rate of 45%. And whereas unlike other cancers, there's no early detection test for ovarian cancer, and because symptoms, which are often subtle and mimic other diseases, awareness of symptoms is key to early diagnosis. And whereas Tie Michigan Teal consists of volunteers tying ribbons on trees and signposts and providing local businesses and offices with symptom information cards. And whereas Tie Michigan Teal takes place the entire month of September, and the City of Royal Oak supports their efforts to educate our residents and all members of the public about ovarian cancer and its symptoms. And now therefore it be resolved, I, Mayor Fournier, and the members of the Royal Oak City Commission hereby proclaim September 2019 as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and will join Tie Michigan Teal with communities across the strait, and will have teal ribbons tied on trees and signposts and informational cards distributed to local businesses and offices to raise awareness of ovarian cancer and its symptoms. Matt. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. A few words, if you will.
It looks like this month we've got another cancer up there. As far as I know, no cancer is good. And I am pleased to share any post that they want to sign with and tie with at any time. You will have members of the Royal Oak Kiwanis Club helping us out this year. If you happen to be a member of a local club, feel free to join us. We're a pretty happy bunch, and we will be removing the ribbons on the last day of the month. Mayor, thank you very much. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Mr. McEwen. The second proclamation is designating September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Will the family of Tessa Prothero come up, please? This is a proclamation designating September 2019 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas around the world, 300,000 children, whereas childhood cancer is the #1 cause of death from disease among children, and whereas around the world, 300,000 children are diagnosed with cancer every year in the United States, and an estimated 15,780 children will be diagnosed with cancer annually. And whereas 1 in every 1,000 persons 18 years old in the United States is a survivor of childhood cancer as a result of overall cure rates that have risen to 80% over the past 40 years. And whereas only 4% of federal government cancer research funding goes to childhood cancer research. And whereas lifelong follow-up care is recommended for all childhood cancer survivors due to the possibility of late side effects associated with treatment. And whereas the impact of childhood cancer diagnosis produces multiple challenges to a family. And whereas children and their families need and deserve the full support of their communities while undergoing treatment. And whereas our community has the opportunity to make a significant impact on the lives of children currently being treated for cancer, childhood cancer survivors, and their families. Now therefore be it resolved, I, Mayor Fournier, and the members of the Royal Oak City Commission hereby proclaim September 2019 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and will commemorate this month with yellow ribbons tied on trees and signposts to raise awareness of childhood cancer and symptoms. Robert. Awesome. Thank you.
Sure. All right. First of all, yeah, there are so many different colors out there for different cancers, and I'm not saying we want to tie ribbons around every tree because that's really hard, but this is our second year doing this. We thank Royal Oaks, the community together, has been supportive this entire time. We lost our daughter 2 years ago. And every year we have at Upton Elementary School, we have a huge garage yard sale. The community supports it. I just want to thank Royal Oak. We try to it's not enough yellow ribbons, but we're just going to try. And then another good thing we're doing in Royal Oak is we're having a gala at the farmer's market. I just can't thank the community enough for just helping out. And we just want to raise awareness because it's not fair for the children. So I thank you guys Thank you again, Mayor.
Thank you, Robert. Ms. Bunchu? How are you doing? Doing well, same here. So our third proclamation tonight is designated September as National Recovery Month. Whereas substance use recovery is important for individual well-being and vitality, as well as for families, communities, and businesses. And whereas an estimated 2.1 million people had an opioid use disorder, which includes 1.7 million people with a prescription pain reliever use disorder and 0.7 million people with a heroin use disorder. And whereas according to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration in 2017, an estimated 20.7 million people aged 12 and older needed substance use treatment. And whereas we will continue to educate and raise awareness of the risks of potential harm associated with prescription drug misuse, and whereas we believe everyone facing substance and use disorders deserve the benefit of recovery, and whereas Friday, September 20th, 2019 has been designated for Oakland County's 12th Annual Substance Use Recovery Celebration and Walk, and whereas stigma and stereotypes associated with substance use disorders often keep people from seeking treatment and could improve their quality of life, and whereas substance use disorders occur when the recurrent use of alcohol and/or drugs causes clinically or functionally significant impairment, such as health problems, disability, and failure to meet major responsibilities at work, school, or home. And whereas substance use disorder recovery is a journey of healing and transformation, enabling people to live in community of his or her choice while striving to achieve their full potential. And whereas substance use disorder recovery benefits individuals with substance use disorders by focusing on their abilities to live, work, and learn, and fully participate and contribute in our society, and also enriches the culture of our community. Now therefore be it resolved, I, Mayor Fournier, and the members of the Royal Oak City Commission hereby proclaim September 2019 as National Recovery Month and call upon our citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools to recommit our city to increasing awareness and understanding of substance use and the need for appropriate and accessible services to promote recovery.
Thank you so much, Mayor and Council. For OCHN, we always look at Recovery Month as an opportunity to educate the community about substance use disorders. And to keep a positive message that people can and do recover. It also lets us have greater awareness, as we've known that we do have an opiate epidemic that we continue to have to fight. We also want to make sure that we acknowledge our treatment providers who make possible recovery for the people that we serve. And we hope that if you or someone that you know does have a substance use disorder, that you seek treatment and know that recovery is possible and your life can be changed. So with that, once again, we would like to thank Mayor and Council for this opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
for all
much.
your work. Up next, we have the presentation of the Police Department Citizens Award, but we're going to hold off on that until the recipient can make it here after work. So we're going to head to public comment, and then hopefully that recipient will be here after public comment. So a few words about public comment before we commence. The City Commission values and relies on the input of our fellow citizens to make decisions. Now is the time set aside for the public to address the City Commission on any city-related issues, both on the agenda and not. As there are no public hearings scheduled for tonight's meeting, this will be the only time for the public to address the City Commission. I ask that comments be directed towards the City Commission as a whole and not towards individual commissioners. If you wish to speak tonight at public comment, please wait until you're recognized by me, the mayor. Raise your hand, come up to the podium. For the record, we'll ask that you state your name and address. Please be mindful that the City Commission does wish to hear from anyone who wishes to speak tonight, so comments are limited to 3 minutes or less, and we have a timer at the podium to help you keep track of your time. If you don't wish to speak tonight, no problem. Many residents and stakeholders reach out to us via email and telephone. Please note that the City Commission will not respond directly to questions during public comment. However, we are taking notes and will address the questions when the agenda topic is discussed or refer to the proper city department if the matter is not scheduled on the agenda. And our interim city manager is also taking notes and will look into matters as needed. I'd also like just to remind everybody that issues come up and there may be different sides to the issue. And, we do ask that we be respectful of others and not applaud and cheer. While it may be instinctive to do so, we want to make sure that if somebody has a different opinion, that we don't discourage them from coming to the podium and expressing their right to speak by clapping and celebrating and things of that nature. So it's not any knock against any individuals that have done it. It's just a matter of the rules that we have in the commission chambers. So with that, who's first tonight? Actually, I see a hand in the way back. Is that Joan? Yep. Hi, Joan. How are you?
Well, how are you? I'm also damp. Joan Johnson. I live at 709 Lockwood Road. I have a couple of thank yous. First, to all the citizens like me who voted for the road resurfacing and repair millage several years ago. This year, my block in Lockwood got refreshed. I finally recovered from all the construction mess, and the road is lovely. So thank you. And secondly, to the commission, the DDA, and whoever else was involved in bringing handicap parking to downtown Royal Oak, thank you very much. And as a sweetness, there are no meters on the spots, and that is just a kindness. Many handicapped people, me included, end up spending a lot of our discretionary income to manage the disability. And while the parking fees don't seem like a lot, it's just a kindness. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Up here in the front? Yes, ma'am. Right behind you in the glasses, sorry. She was the second draw.
Hello, Your Honor, Commissioners, and thank you very much for hearing me. My name's Tracy Pease. I am at 821 East Woodruff. I've been a member of this community for 35 years. My parents, as well as both my children and my sister and my new niece, live in Huntington Woods, so we spend a lot of time in Royal Oak. As you have said about August 13th, we have gone ahead and circulated a letter that we ended up with 236 signatures, which can be on your desk in the morning. And basically what the letter says is that on Tuesday, August 13th, Royal Oak police officers stopped and questioned Devin Myers, a 20-year-old black man, for looking suspiciously at a white woman. Devin was detained by multiple officers while walking to a local vegetarian cafe and was not released for nearly 20 minutes. We, the undersigned, are requesting an investigation into the training provided to Royal Oak police officers, specifically in regards to implicit bias in racial profiling. Around the country, our nation is engaged in a discussion of how law enforcement interacts with people of color and black men and boys in particular. The idea that a black man could be interrogated for simply glancing at a white woman evokes some of the worst chapters in U.S. history, including the murder of 14-year-old Emmett Till in 1955. We are reminded that this abhorrent history continues to repeat itself right here in Royal Oak. These travesties are seen in the experiences of young black men like Devin and even young black children who are policed while merely waiting for the school bus. One example of this occurred 2 years ago when a young black boy named Mason was waiting for his school bus at 5 a.m. He was seen by Royal Oak police officers who abruptly made a U-turn and approached him, asked him if he had seen a white man, and then illegally searched him while asking if he had marijuana. No child should have to fear for being harassed by police officers while waiting for the school bus. This is a pattern of racialized policing, and it must stop. Along with addressing the overt racial profiling of black residents, there must be repercussions when false, misleading, and racially motivated police reports are made. Other cities in Michigan have moved to penalize biased crime reporting. Royal Oak is in need of a similar ordinance. As residents of Royal Oak and the surrounding communities, we are joining together to request an independent investigation into the training provided Royal Oak police officers in respect to implicit bias and racial profiling. The internal investigation conducted in the apology to Devin Myers is not sufficient. We demand that additional training be provided to protect not just some, but all of our shared community, particularly those most often targeted by racial profiling and implicit bias. I appreciate the commissioners sitting here today for their swiftness. I've also spoken to City Commissioner David Woodward, and I appreciate the police chief's swiftness on this action also. Unfortunately, I have witnessed, because I have taken the bus in Royal Oak up until a year ago, because I work at Leo's Coney Island.
Ms. Peace, I do need you to finish your last thought. So.
Okay, I am. What I am saying is that there does need to be more training. We do need to be able to hold specifically white people accountable for making false 911 calls, as we would go ahead and prosecute them for false police reports. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Ms. Peace. All right, Rick?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. It's nice to see so many familiar faces. And I'm here this evening on behalf of the Royal Oak Optimist Club and our president, Eileen Harmon, couldn't be here today.
Could I get your name and address? Sorry.
I'm sorry, yes. Rick Bremer, 911 East 6th Street here in Royal Oak. Yes. I was here to thank you on behalf of the Optimists and our president, Eileen Harmon, for your generous, basically underwriting our program of providing helmets, bike helmets, to the third graders in Royal Oak schools. I should have probably been here, we should have been here 3 years ago, thanking you for the opportunity to do that. When Judy Davids had called us, I'm glad to see her today too, but we were to participate in this effort with Beaumont and the city to present, do a trauma presentation, trauma prevention for the third graders, and that we would provide helmets. It was a great, perfect fit for us, and we've been providing helmets for a long time, selling them in the different venues, and a lot of things. The Oak Apple Run was a big thing for us, and so things changed, but that came along at a perfect time for us, so we were thankful just to be able to participate. And now this year, when we received that check, we were very pleasantly surprised. So I just wanted to thank you. We appreciate the partnership with the city and Beaumont, and thank you again.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Mr. Bremer. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Gail McGuire, and I live at 4456 Arlington, and I'm in the Royal Oak Beverly Hills subdivision. And first of all, I want to thank you for all the work that's being done in our neighborhood. You're repaving Normandy, and also I noticed on the agenda that you're going to make big improvements on the Sullivan Park, so that'll be really nice for our neighborhood, so thank you. So I want to bring up another problem we're having, though, in our neighborhood. There's a problem in which another property owner that does not live in our city, and they don't care whether the neighborhood's kept up or not. and I've taken pictures of what I'm talking about. This concerns an apartment building on the east side of Greenfield, just north of 13 Mile, and they're not having their garbage picked up, and there are piles of garbage building up. People have been seeing rats running around the garbage, and when I took those pictures, it smelled so bad there, almost made me sick, and I feel really bad for the people that live directly behind the apartments. People have been calling and complaining about the garbage and weeds in front of this place for a long time, actually 2 years when they started the remodeling. That was like 2 years ago. So it's been going on a long time. So I talked to code enforcement, and apparently the city has been picking up the apartment's garbage when people complain. And the city keeps sending violations and tickets to them, but nobody complies or responds to it. And it sounds like eventually, though, this will eventually get to court, but I don't know when that's going to be. It's really upsetting to everyone in our neighborhood and also to the people in Beverly Hills. They've been also calling and complaining about this problem. So I'm wondering what we can do to put an end to this. This looks unsightly, and it also is bringing rats into our neighborhood. We are all trying to keep up our homes and take good care of the neighborhood, and this is really discouraging to everyone. So we really need help with this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. McGuire. Yeah, this is gross. City manager's taking a note of it. I can see his notes. Ms. Atkinson.
Good evening. My name is Danielle Atkinson. I live at 622 Walnut Avenue. So I actually didn't want to speak tonight, but I thought it was important because I do appreciate the mayor's comments at the beginning of this meeting. I do appreciate the police commissioners, comments as well. And as I do believe Royal Oak does strive to be a welcoming community and a loving community, and ironically, the last time I was at City Commission, a little ashamed to say, was when we proclaimed this a welcome city. Although that I do believe we strive that, we are missing the mark. I can point to several instances. Our neighbors had racial epithets on their garage. We had flyers in our neighborhoods recruiting for a neo-Nazi organization. We've had, in our middle school, we've had nooses hung in the bathroom, and we've had build a wall chanted at students. For the past 2 years, I have sought to address this issue, not publicly, but privately with the powers that be. And then, most recently, we had one of our neighbors come and harassed by the people that are sworn to protect us. As someone who's raising children in this community, I find it disgusting and very important that I address it before my children are teenagers and are seen maybe as a threat. We need an independent investigation. Racial bias is a problem that we all have. It's a societal problem, and we can't investigate ourselves. We think we're good people. We need someone else to look at the problem and make recommendations as to how we can go about making change. It's a long road. It doesn't end with a resignation or an apology. That is merely the beginning. We have started to address this problem. All of the things that have happened are great beginnings, but we need to look at the problem, and we need to have the city and the school come together and have a plan as to how we will address the systemic problem of institutional and systemic racism that is threatening the people that live and come to our community to visit. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Atkinson. Mr. Ashley.
Good evening. My name is Alan Ashley. I'm president of Royal Oak Manor Co-op. Again, this coming weekend is the annual Arts, Beats, and Eats. It's fun for everybody except us. What I don't understand is, whether it was this commission or prior ones, how could you give away all the parking around Royal Oak Manor to vendors? These people, I'm going to be very not polite, but pigs. They'd leave garbage, they're rowdy, they're drunk, they vomit on our property, and we've been having this ever since I moved in 2016. This is becoming a problem. I have 22 people that I had to move out of that parking lot on P7 because that's where most of the Arts Beats and Eats is going to be. I found places that for them to park, but the really problem is, how could you give away all our problem to vendors, all our parking to vendors? Why couldn't you put them on Lafayette, on the other side, closer to the to Arts Beats and Eats, instead of having them cross the road to Arts Beats and Eats? I just don't understand how the contract you sign with the promoter, you allow all the parking around Royal Manor to go to vendors, which is disgraceful. And again, it shows how much you care about seniors. Because now people who want to visit have to park 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks away just to see their parents or grandparents. That is not fair. And the other thing I want to bring to your attention, which I brought up early this year, late last year, the parking behind the Salvation Army, there is no lights in that parking lot whatsoever. You have a new bar and restaurant going up on 5th Street. That's going to go over onto Main Street because it's going on top of the credit union there. That is a prime parking. There is not one light in that parking lot, and it's coming winter, and it's going to be dark. And I don't think you want patrons, if that's finished this winter or early in the year, you want patrons parking in a black parking lot. I brought this up, nothing has been done. Matter of fact, from 4th to 7th, it's pitch black. The big lights around Royal Oak Manor don't even shine bright. Yet, that's everything from 4th to the construction here is brightly lit, yet everything from 4th to 7th is in the black. So I think the city has to do some thinking and rearranging priorities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ashley. Who's next? I see a hand in the far back.
Hi, my name is Scott Roberts, 2125 East Hudson. I just here to talk about 2 things that were mentioned in the last commission and planning meeting. The first one was ancillary structures, specifically having kind of a small residence inside, like kind of adjacent to your existing residence. I'm here to speak strongly in favor of that. You know, I'm getting married in 6 days and probably going to be having kids not long after that. And, you know, we have a small house, it's 1,200 square feet. We don't have huge lots here in Royal Oak, or at least the area of Royal Oak I'm in. And, you know, we both work. We'll probably need some help. It's already been talked about that my mother-in-law is going to come live with us, and I don't really want to live in the same house as her. But at the same time, you know, I understand, you know, I do want her there, so I would ask, you know, that you would allow these ancillary structures, because we have a garage we never friggin' use. That would be perfect for that. So I want to speak in support of that, number one. And number two, I did kind of want, I know marijuana's not on the agenda, which is why, you know, there's not that many people here compared to last meeting. But I did kind of want to speak about that again really quickly. And I want to speak again about the marijuana micro business. You know, it's a small kind of community retail business. It's only for the sale of up to 150 plants, which if you're not in the marijuana business, that's really not a lot. And, you know, these things are, you know, very good, I think, at least, you know, for the community, in that, you know, if we were to place these things around instead of having this little corridor with all the marijuana retail shops, and then the people who actually use this as medicine, because, you know, we don't have a medical ordinance, our rec ordinance will effectively be the medical ordinance, that, you know, having those more spread out around the city would be a good thing for our city. It increases access to medicine. You know, it actually would create a more walkable area, and actually strengthen, I believe, our kind of commercial corridors, like, you know, the Lincoln corridor is where I live. But, you know, there's Catalpa as well. There's a lot of other these corridors that I think that this would be a good thing for. And then finally, you know, there was some questions brought up at the last Planning Commission meeting when I was there, and I actually put together a little memo that addressed it, and I would happily give it to, you know, the city attorney, the city manager, the mayor, who else would like to take a look about what I think would work as far as zoning, would work for these businesses to allow them to actually have a shot at operating a business in Royal Oak as opposed to, you know, basically just having a bunch of big out-of-state companies do it. So with that, that is all I had, and if anyone wants a memo, I have plenty.
Yeah, if you actually want to give them to our city clerk, Ms. Hallis, we'll take those, Mr. Roberts. Thank you, Mr. Roberts. All right, who's next? Mr. Wolf.
333 North Troy, residents need to step up, put their finger in the dike, and stop this marijuana crap. You heard about the opioid addiction. Do your homework on cities that are going to hell with this recreational marijuana in their community. It's actually attracting black market marijuana into their communities because it's sold cheaper. Now, first of all, the saying that you guys value comment from residents has no does not ring a bell with me, because this is the same commission that reduced resident comment to 3 minutes and also says it doesn't have to respond to questions from residents. What is that? Now, serendipity here. I suspect strongly that the past city manager abused the enormous power given to him for ulterior motives. And I checked also serendipity, Fred Lieb, LLC, whom I personally experienced as a city manager, as an emergency manager, finance manager in Pontiac. And I've noted his accomplishments in municipal and nonprofit book balancing, tracking, publishing, and turnarounds. Google him. I ask you for a second time. As I said, I observed him. And though I did not always personally agree with him, especially a sale of the Silverdome for less money than a local attorney offered. But in the end, he did do an excellent job, and he did it very well. I do not have the time to opine my criticism of our very weak mayoral strong non-resident managerial system, but I am convinced that if available, Mr. Lieb would be ideal to clean house due to his experience as Pontiac's emergency financial manager, coupled with awards and recognition by the state of Michigan, his publications, his teaching positions. I am only afraid that with all the previous shenanigans of this commission, the 4 of 5 search results, there may already be chosen a manager who may have connections with our previous manager and is willing to protect his legacy and his hires for all the wrong reasons. We do need a new manager to sweep and move and to sweep out all the wrongdoings, such as the Boji no-bid contract from under and that was swept under the rug here. Let's end the hypocrisy and vote for a new slate. Stephen Miller, Ms. Lavasser, Pamela Lindell, Tom Halleck. That will give power to resident first commissioners and not a private club of lackeys for special interests. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. All right. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Lisa Carlson. I live at 27830 Palmer Lane. I'd like to speak in support of the letter. I'm one of the folks who signed the letter that Tracy read, and also in support of what Danielle spoke of. I'm more convinced after hearing the comments by the chief of police and by the mayor that we need an independent commission to investigate. This was not an unfortunate incident. This was an act of violence against a black man in this community. I think that that's completely unacceptable. Also, Mr. Mayor, I believe that you called this an anomaly less than 2 weeks after this event took place. That is far too soon to know if this is an anomaly in this community or if this is a repeated pattern, as Danielle has pointed out. I also think that we as white folks can't say if this is a welcoming city. I'm a welcoming person, so of course this is a welcoming city. No. Folks of color, black folks, are the ones who tell us, I feel welcome here, I feel safe here, or I do not feel welcome and safe, and then we listen to them and they have a seat at the table to decide how we address this. What I'm seeing before me is a lot of white people. I also am white, And I think that we need to actively be advocating for folks of color and Black folks in particular to be speaking to this issue and to be a part of what the solutions are to make this a truly welcoming community. And I think that an independent commission is the best start to figure out how we move in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carlson. Just a point of clarification, I don't believe I stated an anomaly. And we are having the AG provide an independent investigation at the moment. So we're going to see what the outcome of that is and move, step by step here. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Hi there, my name's Laura Rink. I'm at 5047 Elmhurst, Royal Oak. Just to kind of piggyback on what everyone else has been saying about the August 13th incident, I learned about it on Facebook, probably like a lot of people did, and I learned about it via a national syndicate, not a local syndicate. This information, this horrible situation went national quickly. And it embarrasses me, it frightens me, it makes me wonder seriously if this is a welcoming community. And I know all about white privilege. I know all about how I'm treated differently than a lot of people simply because of my skin color. And I really think that an independent investigation, whether it's the AG or whomever, needs to bring about change in this community in order for somebody like me to want to live here until I grow old. Because at the moment, I'm highly embarrassed, and I want better for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ring. All right, yes, ma'am, here in the back.
I'm Trina, and our address is 509 West 4th Street. She wants to say her name.
My name is Brogan, and I'm 5.
Hi.
And Uriah, you want to say your name?
My name is Uriah.
And how old are you? 25?
8.
Oh,
Hey.
Okay.
All right.
So we are residents of this community,
Yeah.
and obviously, these sorts of things impact us every day, as some of our colleagues have said. And so it's very important to recognize that my family has certainly faced a variety of incidences here in the city. We've seen aggression from police, not towards my family, but certainly towards other people. So I appreciate the swift action, but I think it is critically important, as folks said, to recognize that there really are some things going on. And I hope that this is kind of an opportunity to really kind of deepen that conversation, right, and double back to really see what are the sorts of things that this community can do a little bit differently. We've had neighbors call my kids the N-word, right, lots of things like that. So not necessarily always the police, but certainly experiences that suggest some deep problems. So I want to be part of the conversation, and I certainly want to make sure that the city is a safe space for my kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Trina.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else wish to speak tonight? Yes, ma'am, in the back.
Good evening. My name is Tiffany Gonzalez. I live at 621 Walnut, and I'd just like to thank the Commission and for the head of the police department for recognizing the problem that really came to light on August 13th and was really highlighted at that time, and also just in general for the efforts of our police department to keep our community safe. I also very much appreciate the members of our community who circulated the petition that I signed requesting an independent investigation that will hopefully present some solutions to move our community forward. But I think that it's particularly important to consider implementing some consequences for folks who make racially biased and frivolous 911 calls that aren't at all emergencies. This wastes the time of our police department and their efforts to keep us safe by having them put attention on things that aren't actually emergencies. So I just wanted to make that additional comment. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez.
Everyone, my name is Kim Moon, 815 Lewis. I just moved back to Royal Oak after a prolonged absence, and I'm very happy to be back. I just want to reiterate, I agree with everyone, what everyone else previously said about the August 13th incident. I really do feel that it would be nice to maybe have some sort of commission or something like that made up of police and residents, so we can kind of work together on making this a more welcoming and diverse place to live. And also what Ms. Gonzalez said about biased crime reporting. Grand Rapids is actually considering an ordinance that would punish biased crime reporting, you know, people basically calling the cops on African Americans because they're doing nothing, with a misdemeanor and a $500 fine. So we might want to do something similar. So thank you all.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Yes, Eric Schaefer, 723 East 11 Mile. I've decided to take a little bit more interest in what goes on in the city here in recent months, and most of what I've observed has not been extremely encouraging. I'm doing a lot of listening, a little bit of talking, and you folks have been doing this quite a while here, but somehow we reduce the amount of time that citizens can speak. I became aware of that a few weeks ago. And there's a lot of people seem to have problems here in Royal Oak, and you're listening to a lot of people with a lot of problems. But I don't personally think, having been now to a second meeting, I don't think you're hearing, you're sitting. You're not picking up on what's going on. So I'm going to give you a suggestion, which you may or may not accept. I didn't hear almost anything about the city manager choice. You see, you're doing 37 other things that somehow you think are more important. We got to help these and help those and help those and thank these and let's thank those. But somehow you had a 67-year-old city manager and you didn't notice that he was going to sooner or later need to be replaced. Seems to have been nothing that I've read about. And now, of course, panic city, and we're going to move heaven and earth to find the right person. See, I think you really maybe don't even want a city manager. You want to keep it the way it is. The family keeps doing what they want to do. You don't bring in an outsider that might have a different independent view. We had 10 years with Don. Don was part of the system. And that's brought us where we are. Everybody, hey, we got Don here. Why would we go anywhere else? I just want to bring to your attention, you consider it. At least one guy is watching. But maybe you think this is good. I don't think this is good. You're going down a road of exactly what you want to do. Oh, we're going to have the festival now, and everybody's having fun. Everybody's having fun, but a lot of people are not happy. This will not end well, in my humble opinion. I'll give you just a little thing that I had wanted to say last week I didn't get to. I don't want it to get older. There was something floating around with the Democratic Royal Oak Commission or some club that made an allusion to those who object gain their Dutch courage at the Dixie Moon Saloon prior to the meeting. I would think you're very engaged people. You would have read this. You Google Dixie Moon, Dutch courage, you can read it. You see, that shows how disconnected you are. The place is only open Friday and Saturday night after 5 because there's no place to park and there's no business. You're killing the businesses.
Mr. Schaefer, I do need you to finish your last
Well,
point.
I'm certain you would like me to, and I will. And I'll allow you to keep thinking about the things you aren't doing. While you're making all these people happy, you didn't bother getting around to think about a city manager who was 67 years old, and you didn't notice he might leave. Thank you.
Mr.
Have a good
Schaefer.
holiday.
All right, who's next? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Pamela Lindell, 409 Inglewood Avenue. I'd like to thank Janice Wagman
for being the champion for the handicap parking. She's really been on the ball with that. Last night I was walking in the neighborhood, met a gal, Kathy, walking her dog. We got talking. She mentioned she met the nicest firefighter, Larkin, when he came to install her lockbox. I believe that was another Janice Wagman initiated program. Anyways, Kathy said this firefighter, Larkin, was so pleasant she wanted to compliment him to his chief. She went on the city website and couldn't find any way to do this. It's so unfriendly. She ended up emailing everybody up here, and she was hoping that she could do it in one email, but no, everybody has to be done separately. And the only one that responded was Randy Levasseur. So she wanted to get this out there. She wanted this to be known. What a great job Larkin did. The firefighters need to be recognized. His chief was thrilled to hear this. And thank you, Randy, for acknowledging another resident. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lindell. All right, I don't remember getting that one, but.
I do.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, we'll check on the email system to see if there's a glitch or something, because I don't remember getting it. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Very talented young lady. She knows how to do that.
Yeah, we'll take a look. Who's next? Going once, going twice. All right, we're going to bring the discussion back to this side of the table. Okay, so we're going to move forward with item number 7, which is the presentation of the Police Department Citizen Award. Chief O'Donoghue.
Rick. How are you, buddy?
How you doing?
Mayor, City Commission, on May 11th, 2019, the owner of Target Sports, Ray Jihad, called the Royal Oak Police Department stating a female came into his business and she appeared very nervous. The female wanted to purchase an inexpensive handgun, and Mr. Jihad felt had concerns that she was purchasing the gun and was intending to harm herself. He of course didn't sell her one, but he did have the presence of mind to get some personal information from her prior to her leaving the store. Royal Oak officers were able to use that information, check on the female at a residence where she stated she was in fact having thoughts on harming herself. With Mr. Jihad's quick thinking, officers were able to locate this female, make sure she got the help she needed, and undoubtedly averted a tragedy. So for that, I'd like to present you with our Citizen Award. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, that brings us to item number 9 of the agenda, which is the approval of the agenda. Commissioner Dubak.
I'll move for approval of the agenda.
A motion by Commissioner Dubak. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Macy. Discussion. All right, with none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. That brings us to item number 10, the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to pull anything off the consent agenda? Commissioner Levasseur.
Item G, please.
Okay, item G. Anybody else? So we have a consent agenda which consists of the City Commission meeting minutes, August 12th, 2019, claims from August 16th and August 27th, 2019, approval of purchase order, declaration, and approval of disposal of surplus property, Finance Department request to fill vacancy, award of professional engineering services, 2019-20 congestion mitigation and air quality traffic signal optimization, approval of appointment of the 44th District Court Magistrate, receive and file non-action items, which is the May 2019 revenue and expenditure variance summary report. Is there a motion? Motion by Commissioner Dubak, second by Commissioner Macy. Discussion on the consent agenda. All right, with none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. G, award of contract CAP 2012 park improvements. Commissioner Levasseur.
First of all, I think it's a wonderful thing that we have a grant and that we are
are making improvements to our parks. I'm concerned with the way that we've gone about this, though. Our city charter requires us to go out to public bids for any improvement project that is more than $25,000. This one is $550,000. And I can't tell from the documentation here that this did go out to bid. It looks like we were working with an entity that maybe does some pre-screening, but what I would have liked to have seen is perhaps a month and a half, 2 months ago, we would have put this out for bids, received the bids, been able to look at them today, and then been in a position to approve it without potentially violating our charter in order to approve this.
Anybody here to answer any questions, or Mr. Murphy?
Yeah, Mr. Murphy is here.
Have any specific questions for Mr. Murphy?
Well, can you tell us a little bit about the process here, how it was determined not to put this out to bid, and you know, when did we become aware that these funds were available to us? I'm just having a hard time with the timing of this because now we're kind of put in a spot where we're told we have to move forward quickly or else we have some potential problems, and that may prevent us from doing a proper bid process.
Sure. At your May 12th meeting, you would approve the Community Development Block Grant Program's annual budget, which included $550,000 for this identified project. And staff had worked with, through our participation in a cooperative purchasing program, we worked with, there are 2 manufacturers of recreational equipment that we have the opportunity to, we'll say, piggyback on existing price structures for items that were previously bid and awarded. There are thousands of local governments, state governments, and educational institutions that participate in this particular national cooperative program. So similar to last year, we had put in last fall with CDBG funds some outdoor fitness equipment, and we utilized our participation in the cooperative purchasing program to purchase and install that equipment. We're following the same structure with this so that we can get a discounted price on not only the products but the installation based on previously competitively bid products and services. It's no different also than the furniture that we're buying for a new city hall or the police station as well. Same exact cooperative.
Can you describe in a little bit greater detail the competitive bid process that was undertaken here, just so we have a better understanding?
Sure. It was taken into effect, if I remember correctly, 2 years ago with the city of Charlotte, North Carolina. And they had established the items that they were trying to install in their playgrounds, and they had a variety of manufacturers bid on the project. And they went with Compan, which is the fitness equipment company, the manufacturer, the world's largest manufacturer of outdoor fitness equipment, play structures. And they had established the price structure for their project via discounted price with Compan. And as they're a member of the cooperative purchasing program, and as subsequently being the city of Royal Oak being a member, we're able to piggyback on that existing contract.
Mr. Douglas, I think I saw your hand.
I was hoping to find an example in this consent agenda, but there are multiple occasions when we're purchasing things where the source of the quote is a shared bidding process among communities. This is like that, right?
Yes, and we've used it to purchase recreational equipment in the past that not only have, for instance, last fall we had the American Athletics, the company which you're entertaining tonight as a contract, to enter into contract for them to purchase, for them to install the equipment. But we've, for I'm gonna say at least a decade, we've purchased equipment through the cooperative program and had our staff through the Department of Public Service install it on our behalf. So we've been purchasing not only the materials, but the services as well.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
You want me to read the explanation?
Yes. Mr. Rassel, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Cooperative purchasing, this is off the Sourcewell site, which I believe this is a member of. Cooperative purchasing saves time and money by purchasing from our ready-to-use, competitively solicited contracts. Cooperative purchasing is a procurement conducted by, on, or on behalf of one or more public department units as defined by the American Bar Association Model Procurement Code for state and local governments. Sourcewell's analysts streamline the procurement process by developing RFPs and IFBs for national competitive solicitations that meet and exceed local requirements. Our rigorous process is continually refined to best meet member needs and allow us to offer exceptional products from nationally acclaimed vendors. I can go into the detailed RFP process. They have a PDF on that.
I don't need to hear it.
I'm satisfied.
My main concern is looking at the charter, which is very specific to public work or improvement, and it's talking about a contract being awarded to a responsible bidder in competition, and that's my key is focusing on that. Just, you know, how do we reconcile this with our charter? It's one thing we're talking about furniture, but this is a public works. We're talking about fixtures here.
Mr. Gillum has a comment.
But as Mr. Murphy indicated, there was a public bidding process, but the public bidding process was undertaken by the city of Charlotte, not by the city of Royal Oak. So there was a public bidding process. I think the intent of the charter is satisfied, and it's the city's ability to piggyback on the process that was followed by Charlotte. Allows us to award the contract. And the only other thing I would add is that this is not something that the city of Royal Oak alone does. There was reference that was made to the furniture contract for the new city hall. In relation to that, staff did some research, and earlier this year, other entities that have purchased under this Omnia partner contract include the state of Michigan, Wayne County, Oakland County, Macomb County, Genesee County, the University of Michigan, Michigan State University, the city of Detroit, the city of Grand Rapids, the city of Marquette, the Livonia School District, the Rochester School District, the Lansing School District, the Ann Arbor School District, the Novi School District, the Plymouth Canton School District, and the Waterford School District, and I would guess there are probably others as well.
I'd also just point out that Michigan State University has the #1 purchasing and supply chain program in the United States, ranked #1.
Go green.
Go white. Just thought I'd add that to the conversation. Commissioner Dubuck.
Yeah, Mr. Murphy, so I'm understanding this absolutely saves us money.
Yes, it saves us time and money, and we, not only through expenditure of from the city's general fund, but we utilize our funds that we receive from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development through the Community Development Block Grant Program, and that's governed by a long list of federal regulations which highly encourages cooperative purchasing in order to save ultimately them the money as they're passing it on to us, and to be able to expedite the process as well.
That's the best municipal practice, really, in this kind of case.
Unquestionably.
Okay.
I can also argue that it's one of the best practices in business, too. The private sector, where legally appropriate, you try to bundle your volumes and get a better price.
And Mr. Gillum saying that the letter of the charter is satisfied, and I would argue the spirit of the charter is that we not be wasting taxpayer dollars, and clearly the charter would not demand that we spend more to simply fulfill a process arbitrarily ourselves when it's already been done by our counterpart that we're contracting with. So saving money, saving time, renewing parks. This seems like a no-brainer to me.
Okay, does that come with a
I'll
motion?
move for approval.
Got a motion by Commissioner Dubuck, second by Commissioner Douglas. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion passes. All right, that brings us to the item number 11, which is the approval of the July 2019 Traffic Committee resolutions.
Mr. Callahan is here, I believe.
Mr. Callahan.
Right on cue.
We just, you can't leave. Mr. Rassel has his own door now?
It's like Seinfeld. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. The Traffic Committee met on July 23rd, and it was chaired by Dan Godek. He cannot be here this evening to answer any questions, but it was a fairly mundane meeting. We had 4 items on our agenda that we discussed in depth. A lot of our discussions nowadays have to do with speeding and traffic through neighborhoods. It's a problem that's occurring everywhere, not just along main corridors, along Campbell Road. It's happening in all parts of the city. So a few of the things that we discussed in order, I'll go over. Sorry, lost my spot here. We had a request from a resident on Warwick Road, off of Coolidge Highway to discuss things we could do to calm traffic in their neighborhood, and they already have signs in that street, so we are approved a request to add additional police enforcement to enforce the existing signs that are out there right now, and then we came up with some other options that are going to require some additional neighborhood feedback. So we recommended mailing those options to all the neighbors on the street and see if they're interested in working together to come up with some traffic calming. Some of those things may require expenditure of funds, and we want to make sure that the neighborhood is on board when we decide to build an island in their block or a speed hump or something like that, that is definitely going to affect the way that they get to and from their homes. And that's been our one of our big concerns right now is anything that we do to calm traffic from people that don't belong on their street or are driving through their street, it's definitely going to affect the homeowners as well, and they're going to have to live with the fact that we're going to make that change. So those are the two recommendations we had for Warwick Street. We also evaluated our concern from a resident who had a similar situation on Webster Road. Now, Webster is a major road, and one of our recommendations for that was to install the portable speed trailer that the police have in their well outside, and it will display the speeds of people going down Webster. Also, to evaluate traffic calming measures on that street when we repave the road. Because Webster's a major road, we treat it a little bit differently than a local street. We don't ask the neighbors to weigh in on some of these traffic calming measures that we do. The third item that we discussed was putting speed limit signs on Benjamin. Benjamin is also one of our major roads. It connects Woodward up through the neighborhoods to Adams School. And even though it looks like a residential street, it's extremely wide. It's over 40 feet wide, so it allows a lot of free space, and cars can see long distance in front of them, and they think that it's okay to go fast. We actually did, because this is a major road, recommend installing 24-mile-an-hour speed limit signs for the northbound direction when people are coming off of Woodward. And then we also are asking staff to evaluate traffic calming measures for the time when that road is next scheduled for an improvement. And lastly, we looked at Cherry Street. Cherry is a short little block between 12 Mile and Crooks Road, and the neighbors requested no through traffic signs. It's very difficult to enforce those signs. It's not something we regularly recommend. We recommended to deny the request for those signs. However, we have some ideas for some traffic calming, and we'd like to send a letter to the neighbors on that block to see if they'd be interested in something that we could build. Their road is on schedule for next year, so this would be one of the first places we could do something if the neighbors were in favor of it. It's going to add additional cost to the road work, and be up to the commission to decide whether or not we want to spend those monies ourselves or ask for some sort of special assessment at the time. But we're going to come up with some ideas and see if the neighbors are on board. So those are our recommendations that are before you. Gave you the background.
Questions from Mr. Callahan? Commissioner Macy?
So I saw this report, but it's not a recommendation for us about changing speed limits on Main.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I can. It's not something that the commission would necessarily have to vote on because we're following state law. When we did the bike routes on North Main Street, we took down all the signs and re-put up all the signs. The signs that we put back for the speed limits were at 25 miles an hour. We definitely wanted to get people's attention to slow them down. And the speed limit sign change was part of our plan. In accordance with state law, we did the study after the bike route had been in for some time, and we measured traffic speeds and went through the process. The TIA did a very detailed report for us Their report recommends the speed limit be at 30 miles per hour, so that's what we intend on doing. So that was basically.
And that takes into account like both the flow of traffic and safety of bikers and safety of drivers, everything?
Right, and one of the reasons why we're doing this now, we want to get this done now, is because we're going through the process for the traffic signal study on Main Street, which will take place in the next couple months, and they'll be planning on changing all the signal timing so the cars can progress through there at the normal speed limit. So they need to know that the speed limit's going to be 30 miles an hour, and to make sure that if you hit one traffic light, you hit the next if you're going 30 miles an hour, and you hit the next one after that as well. So.
Commissioner Douglas?
Mr. Callahan, have you conducted similar research into Main Street south of Catalpa, that is between Catalpa and 11 Mile Road, where the speed limit is also 25 miles an hour on a 5-lane Main Street?
Well, you might not remember, and there might not be anybody here that remembers, but I've been here for a long time. So back when Main Street was redone in around 2005, there was a lot of concern with the width of Main Street, the fact that many people were concerned that speeding was going to occur, and the commission actually voted to set the speed limit at 25 miles per hour. Now, in principal shopping districts, you can set your own speed limits. So the way that North Main Street has developed over the years, it has kind of turned into its own little district of shopping, restaurants, hotels, and we have not done the study, but we would probably conclude, if we did a study, that it qualifies for that lower speed limit due to the way the district functions as a shopping area.
Tell me more about that.
I ran into this with the road commission when they were reevaluating speed limits on 11 Mile Road. And even though that they had done the study, and the study had recommended setting the speed limit at a higher speed limit than what was there before, we said, you know, this road functions as a shopping area, as a principal business area. And they disagreed, and they changed the speed limits. But that is how I found out about being able to set the speed limits in downtown areas. So it's something that can be left up to the community. We could certainly do a study and set the speed limit at what the study says cars are going at, the 85th percentile, but we do have that option to change the speed limit to a lower speed limit. Most communities do not go any lower than 25 miles per hour, though.
And I'm not advocating lower than 25 miles per hour, but it does seem like if you're driving south on Main Street from, let's say, 12 Mile, and now the speed limit is 30 miles an hour, and you get to Catalpa, and suddenly it's not 3 lanes, but it's 5 lanes, it seems like that's a place where people would expect to go 30 miles an hour. Furthermore, the speed limit south of Lincoln, I think it's Lincoln, is on Main Street, is 30 miles an hour, and that looks like a shopping area to me also.
If the commission wants the staff to look into these things and do a study, we can certainly do that. It doesn't cost us any money. TIA, it costs us our membership in the TIA. They will do this study for us. It's a little bit involved, but they've been very cooperative and great to work with to collect all of our traffic data that we need to make evaluations.
Noted, thank you.
Mr. Macy?
Could such thing be done in time for the fancy traffic signal parade?
At this point in time, we could probably order the traffic measurements to be done this fall. Most of the time, we like to do traffic measurements while school is in session. There's a different traffic pattern. It takes place 9 months out of the year on the weekdays, and traffic measurements are always measured on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So while school is in session. And it's something we could put in a request for if directed to.
But when are the traffic signals things happening?
The Main Street traffic signals won't be retimed until the end of next year at the earliest. So our CMAQ grant will be doing 11 Mile and 13 Mile Road first in 2020, and sometime towards the end of 2020 and early 2021, they'll be doing Main Street and Crooks Road.
Commissioner Macy.
Move approval of the resolutions.
Motion by Commissioner Macy. We have a second by Commissioner Dubak. Discussion? All right, with that, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Commissioner Douglas.
Mayor, I'd like to introduce a motion that we direct staff to investigate speed limits on Main Street. Main Streets between Catalpa and 11 Mile.
Motion by Commissioner Douglas, second by Commissioner Macy. Discussion? We had it?
I was curious, is the
Commissioner
goal to figure out if it should just be consistent throughout at 30? Or is the goal to, or 20, you're trying to figure out if it should be 30 or 25, but the entire stretch?
Well, they've already concluded that that north of Catalpa is 30, and my interest is in consistency.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting point where you have and I never thought of it, because my first instinct is as you get closer to town, you slow down, right? But you're right, you have that anomaly where you have the road opening up, and that is a zone where people do get, enforcement's a little harder, and I think legitimately people are like, hey, I was going 30, and now there's more lanes and they're wider, why, I'm confused. And if we're gonna think about changing it, we might as well get the data before the signal studies are done. I'm sorry, Commissioner Macy?
I think I was just gonna add on to that. I was gonna add what she said, but you said it.
What he said?
What he said.
Okay.
Ditto.
All right. Well, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. All right. That brings us to item number 12, which is the approval of agreement with Michigan Red Sox, Inc. Memorial Park improvements. And I see John here, but it's signed by Mr. Gillum.
Mr. Fidelli can hit lead off on
Mr.
this.
Fidelli, you're on.
All right. The Honorable Mayor Fournier and the members of the City Commission at the March 25th, 2019 City Commission meeting. The City Commission directed staff to prepare an agreement between the city and the Michigan Red Sox, also the Royal Oak Leprechauns. The agreement will allow the Red Sox to install an artificial infield at Memorial Park Diamond 3 along with other improvements. The proposed renovations by the Red Sox include the installation of artificial synthetic turf infield, extension of the previous dugouts, installation of artificial turf bullpens for both home and away teams, installation of temporary fencing in the right field. Total costs for these renovations are approximately $330,000. All improvements will be funded by the Red Sox with plans for future improvements. The city will still have full control over the scheduling of the fields, and the Red Sox will work with the Recreation Department and I and the Royal Oak Sandlot League in the scheduling of their 21 home game season. The Red Sox will still be expected to pay the rental fee according to the guidelines set by the Parks and Recreation Department and the Parks, Recreation, and Senior Services Advisory Board. So this is just to approve the agreement that Dave, Mark Sack, and I have been working on.
Mr. Gillum.
Just one correction to the draft of the agreement that's posted today. Would be on page 3 in paragraph 3A under the heading of city obligations. It talks about the time frame for the Leprechauns to begin playing on diamond number 3, and the agreement indicates it would be June and July of 2021, but that should actually be June and July of 2020, so next year. With that one correction to the agreement, we would recommend approval. Mark Sackett, who's the chairman of the board of the Red Sox, is here if you have any questions for him about his organization or their participation in the improvements up at Memorial Park.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Fidelli or Mr. Gillum to begin with? Commissioner Dubak.
I think we dug into the proposal quite a bit last time you were before us. Still very excited. Just wonder if you want to just take a minute and tell us about the 2020 season and what that'll look like. How many games are there, that kind of thing?
Yeah, that schedule comes out. The schedule will come out in November. So we are right now currently forming the league, but getting confirmation from all the teams in the league. I believe there'll be either 13 or 14 teams. There's currently 12. So we'll probably see, we're hoping to see the 14 teams. There was a team that was like us who took a year off. They were from Saginaw. So they took a year off, we took a year off. So if both of us come back, it'll be 14 teams. That scheduling will take place November. I'll meet with Mr. Videlli to make sure things, we are coordinating our schedules for the Royal Oak Sandlot League. And so that's it. We're ready to get this thing rolling and real excited. Even though we hear some of the challenges in Royal Oak, I couldn't be more excited, more thrilled.
We're excited to have you here. Last time you had raised that you were going out to get your sponsorship, so I trust that's going well.
We're working, and I met with Charlie Langton today from WWJ. He's invited me onto their television show on the weekends to share more about it. Jennifer Hammond from Fox 2 News would like to do something about it. So we're just keep on pushing, looking for sponsors. We're meeting with the LH company tomorrow. So we're hoping there, and we have one sponsor lined up, and there's some people interested in naming the field, and that's for another meeting. Another time. So we got to get all those details taken care of. But like I said, just a buzz by the buzz of the people. Pat Caputo did an article on us, and there's so many people so excited about this, and I'm just like, show me your money. Let me see. No, it is. I just know it's going to go. I just know it's going to be a very great event. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting back to Royal Oak.
I hope it's a huge success. My kids are excited to come see games next year.
Well, great. Excited to have them in our camps. So
absolutely.
Okay, and this gentleman right here is the voice of the Leprechauns, Mark Stowers. So when you hear him talk, you're gonna say, "Wow, that guy's." He talked to me on the phone. It was great. So he's gonna be heading up our public address announcer, and should get some things really exciting in here. We're all really excited to get this going.
Say something, Mark.
What would you like for me to say?
I don't know.
Welcome to the Royal Leprechauns.
No batting number. Better behind the mic. So
Yeah.
thank you for all your time, and Dave, I really appreciate you and both John. John just been instrumental in making this whole thing happen. So you guys are lucky to have those two gentlemen on board with you. So, and Dave, I'm glad my dad passed you in math class that one year.
So are the 6 of these people, too.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Anything
Yes.
else, Commissioner
I think I have a
Macy?
question, but now I think it might be for John. So if the schedule's coming out in November, and I have never seen a Sandlot schedule come out anywhere near November, and I saw that we have priority, the Sandlot has priority. How is that gonna work?
So we're gonna work we're all three of us are gonna sit down, Sandlot President, Mark Sack and I, we're all gonna sit down and kind of go over the schedule going forward next year. The Sandlot League has a pretty good idea of how many teams are in their division, just based on the numbers they had last year, and obviously the numbers of kids that are moving up in their brackets, in their age division, so those from the K line up to the Harwell and so forth. So there's a pretty good indication of how many teams we should have for the Harwell, which is the teams that would be using the 60-90 field, as well as the K line and the freehands as well.
When they're playing, the Leprechauns are playing, we can't use any of those 3 fields, correct?
The goal is to have the Leprechauns use that field solely. There's a field across, which is Memorial Field 1, where games can be played upon. However, there's the opportunity, or not, there's a case where home runs can be hit over the outfield fence, so they tend to hit the ball a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But it's wood batting, and our pitcher's going to strike them out, so no worries.
All right, well, it seems like a scheduling challenge to me. Best of luck.
Our schedule comes out, I should say our proposed schedule will come out in November, so I need to get with, that's something that John and I are going to talk about before that proposed schedule comes out. So we're going to make sure it works for the ROSL. I mean, that's the home, so we got to make sure that everyone's taken care of there.
We'll block off the times for RSL, but each team that might be playing within those time slots will be
correct
up to determination. Commissioner Lavasser.
I'm going to move the adoption of the resolution with the amendment to the date in the agreement as outlined by Mr. Gillum.
Motion by Commissioner Lavasser, supported by Commissioner Dubak. Discussion. All right, I'm not supposed to talk to you while motion's on the table, but I'll just say, we're so excited
to have you guys here, and it's going to be a really good fit. And I had a chance to look at, the contracts are fun to read, but some of the photos and some of the engineering drawings and seeing what you're doing to the field is pretty cool. So I think it's going to be a great addition to our community, and we're excited to get out there and start watching some baseball.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to it. Appreciate all your time.
All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Thank you. I heard you on WWJ today, too, as well.
I didn't know it. He came to my classroom as I was setting up my classroom today, so I'm glad they.
I know, like, Royal Oak's getting a new baseball team. I'm like, that sounds familiar. It's on our agenda tonight.
That's great. There's supposed to be more tomorrow. We'll see. Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, this brings us to our last item on tonight's agenda, which is a recommendation of the City Commission Manager Executive Search Subcommittee.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. The last time I was here, we were talking about actually preparing the RFP to go out to post for executive search firms to respond and assist us in finding a new city manager. Since then, the RFP has been posted. The RFP was posted July 2nd. We opened the bids that we received, which was 5 of them, on August 6th at 1 p.m. The responses we received, just so on. Okay. The responses we received were from Amy Sell, GovHR, the Michigan Municipal League, MML, Novak Consulting, and Slavin Consulting. The proposals that we received were all fairly complete. There was a few items missing in some of the responses that we did point out to the subcommittee. Generally, at least the most important components were definitely there. Cost-wise, there wasn't really much of a difference. I'll let the commissioners themselves do a little bit more to talking as to the individual components of the proposals and also what recommendations they wish to make. But for as far as cost is concerned, there weren't a lot of differences necessarily in the entire package. There are, of course, some unknowns, so to speak, in proposals such as these, which have to do with the number of candidates that we might be bringing in from elsewhere, travel costs associated with those. All the proposals, I will tell you already have that set aside as an itemized cost that will be incurred by the city, which is also something we assumed from the get-go. So there's a little bit of fluidity there, but for the most part, all the proposals came in when you kind of add everything up, right around the ballpark of anywhere between $20,000 to $25,000. Let me wrap this up, and then I'll bounce it back over to the commissioners to actually make the recommendation and discuss a little bit more into detail as to what metrics they use to come to their decision. But we did meet on August 16th, and in that meeting, Commissioner Gibbs, Commissioners Macy, and Douglas all were in attendance, as well as myself, David Gillum, the interim city manager / city attorney, and then 2 members of DHR staff, 2 human resources specialists, who prior to this meeting actually performed reference checks on the 5 different vendors, and those results were then brought and delivered to the subcommittee and also discussed. So with that, let me bounce it over to the 3 commissioners that are on the subcommittee to make their recommendation.
Is there anyone that wants to take the lead? Commissioner Douglas.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioners Gibbs and Macy and I had set, while the staff had set certain minimal criteria that bidders had to meet, the 3 of us also defined some criteria by which we would evaluate the bids and used a scoring system. The things that were important to us were that bidders have experience working with comparable cities, that they have, I'm going to say, a Rolodex of candidates, that they have a database of people to reach out to, that they have a history of successful placements. We wanted to see what their process was for helping us set criteria for choosing a city manager. We wanted to know how they utilize their staff, making sure that senior staff and junior staff were used in appropriate roles. And we wanted to know what the value is, that is, what was included in their price. Our scoring system among the three of us was pretty consistent, and we kind of had set in our minds that we were maybe looking to limit this to 3 firms to bring in for the city commission to interview. I will say that in response to a public comment and other things I've heard, this is a deliberately slow process. We want to get this right. So we as a committee aren't picking a city manager, we're picking a search firm to help us choose a city manager. And of course, our ability to do this is limited by the fact that the city commission meets twice a month, and we need to work our approval process around the city commission. I think there's also a consensus on our committee that this is a national search, that Royal Oak is a noteworthy city, and that there are going to be people around the country that would be interested in this job. That was one of the factors that led us to eliminate both the Amy Sell firm and the Michigan Municipal League. They were our 2 lowest scoring contractors. Their experience was largely based in Michigan, whereas the other 3 had a much stronger national profile. And so we are recommending that GovHR and the NOVAC and Slavin groups be brought in for interviews with the City Commission on September 9th. Is that our date?
Correct.
September 9th.
Yep.
We propose that they have, I think, 10 minutes to present. We'll allocate an additional 10 minutes for questions. I believe while we were sitting here, the staff has handed out the proposals for fellow commissioners to read. We will also be making those available online so citizens can read them as well. I will actually so move that we interview GovHR and the Novak and Slavin firms as candidates for managing the city manager search.
We have a motion by Commissioner Douglas, second by Commissioner Macy. Discussion. Commissioner Dubak.
Seems like the members of the subcommittee have a very thoughtful and deliberate process moving us forward, and thank you for your work.
Any other discussion? All right, with none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. All right. Any other motions? All right, I guess that brings us to the end of our meeting tonight, notwithstanding any other actions for the benefit of our community. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a motion by Commissioner Dubak, seconded by Commissioner Gibbs. Discussion? Commissioner Lavasser.
Well, similar to our most recent meeting, I do have some handouts that came from one of our people during public comment from Gail McGuire. I want to make sure our city clerk gets those. And just in addition, I'll just say I will support this motion.
I'll also be supporting this motion. All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. We're adjourned.